What I'd like to focus on for this podcast and the assignment this week is to talk about writing a lab report. To this point, we've only been taking notes in our notebook. We haven't officially written a report on the investigations that we've done in class. So let me talk to you about how to write an investigation or a lab report. So when you write a lab report, I want you to include these items right here. You'll have a title. You'll have an introductory paragraph that gives the background around what the investigation was. You will have a paragraph that talks about the results or the conclusion of the investigation. I would like you to have another paragraph where you talk about the science and engineering practices and the cross-cutting concepts that you used in that investigation. And then, if appropriate, you might be asked to submit a graph along with the report. So here's an example of what that might look like. You'll start off with a title. I just made this up, but this would be maybe called the paper car investigation. And then it will have a paragraph that gives the background information about that investigation. Remember that in English, when I used to teach English, and since I'm doing this, I'm in a sense teaching English to you right now and writing. When you write, you need to have a topic paragraph that introduces all the information about that paragraph, and then you need 4 to 5 detailed sentences. So 2 sentences doesn't work. That's not a paragraph. 3 sentences is also not enough. You need to have a topic sentence that explains what that paragraph is about, and then you have 4 to 5 detailed sentences. So what you see in front of you is an example of that, and this was probably not the best example. I just made it up as I went along. But it says the purpose of this investigation was to design and make a paper car capable of obtaining the fastest speed possible down a rain gutter track. That's the topic sentence. So everything else I read about in that paragraph should talk about the investigation, a paper car, going fast, and having a track and all of that. So then one of the detailed sentences would be the next sentence, which says we were limited to only paper, glue, and either wood, plastic, or metal for the axle. That's more detail about designing and making a paper car. The next sentence says wheels were made of paper, as was the body of the car. More detail. We were given time to design, build, and test our cars. Based on the test results, we were able to make design changes. On the day of the race, each car was raced twice, and the fastest time was recorded. So that's a fairly decent introductory paragraph that explains what the investigation was about. So that's the first paragraph. Notice that it's indented, it's got a period at the end of each sentence, words are spelled correctly, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. The second paragraph is where you discuss the conclusion or the results of the investigation. Again, I just made this up. This one happens to be for chemistry, but it says the results of the calcium chloride baking soda indicator investigation were that a chemical reaction took place. So that's the topic sentence, telling what the results were. Evidence for this included the carbon dioxide gas that was created, heat from the reaction, and color changes from the universal indicator. Those are only 2 sentences. Then I said blah, blah, blah. You cannot write blah, 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 because what you will write in that place are the other detailed sentences that would tell more about the results or the conclusion of the investigation. Again, each paragraph needs to have a topic sentence and between 4 to 5 or more detailed sentences. All right? Then you'll write a third paragraph which talks about science and engineering practices and the cross-cutting concepts that you used in the investigation. Here's an example that you can see right here. Science and engineering practices used in this investigation included planning and carrying out an investigation, obtaining, evaluating, communicating information, and asking questions. And then the cross-cutting concept that we focused on was energy and matter. And again, blah, blah, blah. You need more details to fully explain the cross-cutting concepts and the science and engineering practices that were utilized in that investigation. It's important, extremely important, when you write something that is considered formal, and that's what this is, because other people will read it, that you have correct grammar, correct spelling, and correct punctuation. In my mind, one of the better ways to do that is to word process it. Do it on the computer. The computer will help you with spelling errors, things like that. Don't fully trust the computer, however, because it is possible that you've told the computer that a certain word is spelled a certain way when that's really wrong. So have somebody maybe read your material before you turn it in, double check your spelling, things like that. Then I will grade each of those items, giving each item 20 points. So when it's all said and done, each of the reports that you turn in will be worth 100 points.